I saw this on Twitter and I was like, oh shit, it's the authoritarian disconnect. So let's talk about it. Chris is one of my mutuals. He is a dating coach, but he is not a PUA. Pause to read if you would like. We are moving on to talk about this in 3, 2, 1. First of all, I want to say I don't think I've ever had a negative interaction with Chris. So if you come for him as a result of this TikTok, I'm coming for your throat. The authoritarian disconnect that I'm referring to is this difficulty with, I guess we'll say, theory of mind, where they have a really hard time conceptualizing that other people are different from them and have different motivations and desires than they do. And when it comes down to it, like, that is the entire basis of the PUA methodology. Remember this guy?
Treat women like a 10-year-old and they'll love you for it.
So a key element of the PUA methodology that is directly in line with the authoritarian personality is that it is unsafe and unattractive for a man to show vulnerability towards a woman. The unspoken part of that clip I just showed you is that you cannot be emotionally vulnerable with a 10-year-old like you would be with an adult. And the unspoken part of this is that it is emotionally vulnerable to show a woman how attractive you are to her. So the authoritarian core of the PUA ideology is that it is dangerous and unproductive to be emotionally vulnerable with a woman. I mean, a core element of the authoritarian personality in general is that vulnerability is dangerous, to the point that people who are vulnerable are viewed as repulsive. So then when it comes to that authoritarian disconnect, what ends up happening is they think that because they find vulnerability repulsive, especially in other men, women are going to find vulnerability repulsive in men as well. And I will say, if you are an authoritarian woman who is seeking a man, that kind of vulnerability may be a turnoff. And if you are a recovering authoritarian or come from an authoritarian family, it might be a turnoff as well, but you might not view it as vulnerability is the problem. As I continue piecing together my own trauma, I recognize that I ran like hell from men who were really excited to be with me because I did not view myself as a catch. So it felt like they were trying to pull one over on me. Another interesting element of the male authoritarian is that they often end up with frigid women because warm, close affection does not feel safe to them. So there we go, PUA's in the authoritarian disconnect. But I do want to add one thing. You don't want to be with someone, whether you are a man or a woman, who runs from vulnerability. I speak from experience when I say that, because all it's going to do is cause you pain and heartbreak down the road.